Hello everyone, and welcome to a new coach of Getting Your Lab Guide. I'm Corentin Guinez for Simmercy, and today we are on Miami for the week 7 of this Porsche Challenge by Falcon Tire. As you can see, we are using the Porsche 718 GT4 for that week. As usual at first, we're gonna go and have a look at the hot lap, and then we will find out all the details you have to know before going racing for that week 7. So yep, let's get started. Alright, so we go for the hot lap around Miami, so we are using all of the track, going into turn 1, braking after the 150 board, going down to second, and then we're gonna cut the curb, the first one on the inside. Now we're gonna do the same into this corner, and now we're just gonna drive on the curb for this corner with third gear, trying to make sure you open a bit the steering on the exit to avoid the oversteer. Now we're gonna brake after the 50, send the car into the corner, trying to put the left wheels on the inside of the curb, and now we're gonna just use all of the curbing, trying to put the outside wheels on the curbing, and now we just go slow, holding the brakes, trying to make sure we're not carrying too much speed. Now we second, trying to avoid the curb on the inside to avoid oversteer, then on the exit using all of the track, and now we have this very long straight, get some rest after those sort of fast corners, and a bit technical as well, and not so easy with slowdown for cars, so yeah, it's not so easy the beginning of the track. Now we'll enter the slower sector of the track, so we're gonna brake before the 150, down the gears, down to second, cutting the curb on the inside, trying to make sure I'm not going too wide out of this corner. Now I'm just holding a bit of brakes, back on power to get a bit of rotation. Gonna brake as soon as we're reaching the apex right there. On the brakes, trying to go really close to the wall, trying to make sure we are cutting as much curb as we can on the right one, and now we are trying to get a good launch out of this corner by taking a bit of curbing, but without taking too much to avoid getting some sort of oversteer. And now, once again, a bit of rest after these really technical sectors. We're gonna go up to 6th gear, and then we're gonna brake close to the 150 once again at the end of the blue on the wall, down the gears, down to second, trying to make sure I get close to the curb on the inside, opening the steering, full throttle, going close to the wall on the exit, trying to make sure I'm not really going on the curb on the left, and then once again, same as the first sector, trying to put the outside wheels on the curbing, crossing the line, and we're done for the hot lap around Miami. Alright guys, so we go for the guide this time. So we've done a good hot lap, I guess. So it was a good way to show you at first, give you the first impressions of this track. Really difficult, to be honest, with the low down for cars. You have quite a lot of fast flowing corners, so it's not so easy. But yeah, let's go for the guide this time. So as I said during the hot lap for turn 1, you are pretty much trying to look at the 150 actually, because going to the 100 is, in my opinion, too late. So we're just gonna go by the 150, which is just right there. And then once we are by the 150, we are already going on the brakes. So yeah, for now, just trying to brake straight, trying to go around 70%. As you can see, we are pretty much staying close to the 70%, trying to avoid the ABS to not cook the front tires. And then basically you are trying to have late entry going into this corner, because you don't really want to go too wide on the way out. So pretty much as soon as I'm going by the LED flag panel and the 50, I'm gonna turn in. And as you can see, as soon as I'm turning in, then I will just release the brakes to get the rotation. So turning in, and pretty much right after I'm turning in, then I will just release the brakes down to second, and as you can see, we are just going to hold the brakes until I'm on the curb. As soon as I'm on the curb, I'm going back on power, but I'm not going back on power with too much force, because the thing is that if I'm going too heavily on power while I'm on the curb, I will just lose traction and I might get some oversteer. So as you can see, once I'm out of the curbing, and it's gonna be better if I'm showing this you from the outside, going back on power just before actually hitting the curb. Now I'm on the curb, and once I'm out of the curb, the four wheels are back on the track. Now I'm increasing the throttle. As you can see, and as I said during the before approaching turn 1, the idea there is to make sure you're not too far to the left, because then it makes you more comfortable to cut this curbing, this one, as we are actually cutting it. The one right after we're just driving on it with the right wheels, but this time we are really cutting this curb. So as you can see, just before approaching the curb, I'm just lifting a tiny bit. So I'm lifting at about 50% or something. But yeah, then once again, as soon as I'm facing the exit, I will just go back on power, trying to wait until I'm really out of the curb. So as you can see, going on the curb, I will just release a bit the throttle, and now back on the four wheels, back on power. So if I'm showing this you from the inside and how it looks, right? As you can see, just cutting this corner. The idea there is to make sure you really put the left wheels properly on the left side of the curbing, because then if you just drive on the edge, the car might just lose a bit of balance. So yeah, that's pretty much how it looks. And then once you are out of this curbing, we are going back on power, and now we are just lifting a bit once we are heading into this right-hander, and from there you just try to drive on the curb. Driving on the curb there gives you a bit of rotation, which is really helpful, because if you don't get that bit of rotation, the car might go a bit too much to the outside, I would say. And then going too much on the outside is okay, because you might be able to keep um, grip. But the thing is that you will run more distance, so at the end you're gonna lose time. So taking the curb actually helps you to get the rotation, helps you to run less distance, and by doing that, running less distance means also um, losing gaining time. So that's what you want to do there. So yeah, that's pretty much how it looks. So nothing really complicated, I would say, but just keep in mind that you have to make sure you're not putting too much steering angle, because it's really easy to pick up some of the steer right there, even if it feels quite okay and you really feel like you have to push too much to really spin the car. But yeah, as you can see, playing a bit around with the steering, but it's definitely not too bad. Now we are going into the S's, which reminds you a bit of Suzuka, maybe, even if, not gonna lie, Suzuka ones are better, but just my opinion. Now going into those S's, I'm just pretty much braking just after the 50. I wouldn't say I'm between the 50 and the blue on the wall, because I think I'm closer to the 50. But yeah, the idea there is to make sure you brake just after getting by this 50 board, using all of the track, of course, so you can use this blue line on the right side of the track. And yeah, then you just go on the brake, you just try to send the car into the corner, fourth gear. I think I dropped to third, dropping to third. And as I said during the hot lap, the idea is to make sure you can put those left wheels on the left side of the curbing, because then as soon as the car runs the edge of the curbing right there, you should get a bit of rotation, and it should actually help you to keep the grip into the corner and carry a bit better speed going into this left and right. So yeah, just try to put the left wheels on the left side of the curb. Don't really be scared of the wall on the inside, because you should not really hit it unless you are not carrying enough speed. So yeah, so if we are looking at this from the outside, I'm gonna go back to the chase cam. So yeah, as you can see, releasing the brakes, actually reaching like 50% or something. Yeah, about 55%. So yeah, reaching 55% or so, dropping to third, putting the left wheel on the left side, and you can see how much rotation it gives. Like once you are going on the curb, now rotation, and now again rotation. You can see that the car is pointing towards the left. So that's what we want, and that's what we are looking for, and that's what I was looking for when I put the left wheels on the curbing. Now we go back on the brakes, and the idea there is to make sure, and it's gonna be easier to show you the track limits, I guess, from the outside, is to try to use as much track as you can. I think the track limits are quite easy. Is that you have to keep at least the outside wheels on this orange and white curb. As soon as you keep the outside wheels. So when I say outside, is that into a left-hander, it's gonna be the right wheels, and it into a right-hander like this, it's gonna be the left wheels. So as soon as you keep the outside wheels on the curbing, well, I mean it's not really a curbing, but it looks like a curbing, but it's actually just like some sort of paint, like you could have maybe at the border card, but it's not really exactly the same. But it's just paint basically. It's not really curbing. It doesn't feel anything, so you can use them. It's not going to kill the balance of the car or whatever. So yeah, the idea there is just to make sure you can use as much as you can. This could have been a bit better, I guess. But yeah, I would say that you still miss a bit of laps. Like this is not a track we are used to drive, so obviously laps after lap, and even myself, I could do a bit better, trying to reach a bit more the track limits. But yeah, you're always a bit scared with track limits like this. As soon as it's not grass or gravel on the outside, you're always a bit scared of getting an off track. But I think I did a lot better actually going into the second one. So yeah, I'm just a bit of braking going into this right one, trying to bring the car into the corner with third gear. And then once you are going out of this one, so if we are checking this from the inside, once you are pretty much facing the exit, then you just go back on power, reaching about 80% power. Now almost up to full power. And as soon as I'm turning to the left, then I'm just releasing the power, and I will do the same, just trying to make sure I use as much track as I can. Did better this time, closer to the inside, closer to the edge of the curbing, and then I'm just leaving the curbing. Looks like we can still use this blue line after the curb, so it's okay to just use all of it. You don't really need to rejoin the track when this or orange and white curb is ending, so that's pretty good. And then from there, I'm just gonna lift, and once I'm off the curbing, I'm just gonna like release the throttle, just push a bit more actually, and then I will just or the brakes, trying to slow down the car, not trying to brake too much because I don't want to upset the car too much. As you can see, I'm really staying easy on the brakes. So yeah, I'm gonna just go back from inside the car because it's a bit easier. Remember what I did. But yeah, just pushing the car, trying to make sure I bring I bring the momentum, and basically as soon as I'm seeing you see that the difference, like you have this it's there is no paint right there. As soon as I'm seeing the difference between or I'm getting closer to the blue thing right there, the blue paintings, and the normal road, then I will just release the throttle and start to go on the brakes. So that's pretty much as soon as I'm arriving middle of the track and I'm seeing this this difference, this gap between the blue and the tarmac. So yeah, to be honest, this corner is really difficult because you don't have any references around. Like you are just pretty much you're just guessing pretty much every time. So yeah, that's why you have to be you have to go easy, because it's always a bit easier to adapt the line if you are either turning in too early or turning in too late. So yeah, that's why going easy with the inputs is really good right there. And then there it looks like it wasn't too bad because I was quite close to the curbing. But at the same time, not on the curbing is good as well, because every time I went on the curb, it was really difficult to get the traction out of this corner, because obviously we always want to go quite early on power, but the fact that you are going quite slow and the curbing doesn't give you the best traction possible, and you want to floor it quite early because you have that very long straight after that. So it's really easy to get some oversteer. So that's why I'm not trying to take this curb anymore. I tried a bit, but it never felt that good. Every time it was getting snappy on the exit. So yeah, I think the best thing to do is to drive around it, and then as soon as you are really facing the exit, you can push on power, and on the exit, as you can see, you can use all of the track. So yeah, you don't really have to worry about track limits as soon as, I guess, you keep the left wheels on the curb. But if you don't have the left wheels on the curb and on the left, on the right, of the curb, that means you are in the wall. So there is no worries about the track limits really going into this corner. So we're gonna do it back from the cockpit. Now, still on power. As soon as I'm seeing this middle of the track, going slowly on the brakes, I'm going about 10-15%. I peak at 20, but to be honest, you can stay around 15%. And as soon as I'm seeing the curbing, I know that the apex is just a tiny bit after that. So from there, I can just go on power, going quite easy, trying to not push too much, and then I can use all of the track on the exit. Now we're just gonna go fast forward because there is really nothing interesting in that straight. Going up to fifth, going up to sixth gear just right now, and then as I said during the hot lap, we are braking before the 150, so I'd say we are braking at the 175, so between the 150 and the 200, or between the 200 and the 150 in order. So yeah, just going by the 200, and you try to stay a bit wider. So braking, yeah, 170, yeah, 170, well, yeah, 180 if we want to be precise. So yeah, braking at the 180. Deep on the brakes. I mean, deep on the brakes is a big word, but yeah, just trying to brake as much as you can without really hitting the ABS. So yeah, trying to brake quite straight to optimize the braking, and then yeah, just going down the gears, trying to brake as hard as you can while you are straight. And as soon as you are turning in, as you can see, I'm turning in around the 50 board. 50 board, turning to the left more and more, releasing the brakes to get the rotation, cutting the curb on the inside. I think I could have cut a bit more. But yeah, once again, the idea there is to make sure you don't bounce on the curb twice, because this is when you can lose control of the car. So just like that, taking it as a single curb, because you can cut it more, but if you cut it there and you bounce back on the second part there, you will just lose control of the car, and you might delay the moment you are going back on board. Because now if I'm taking the curb twice, there I will bounce, and bouncing with 64% of throttle might not be the best thing to deal with, especially going a bit slow like this. So just like cutting it like this is all okay. You just cut it once. You are not doing many bounces. So I'm saying that's pretty good. As I said during the hot lap, you just try to make sure you're not going too wide on the exit, because then you wanna prepare this long right-hander. I mean, it's not long, but it's you have to be really patient going into this one. As you can see, I'm hitting the brakes quite early, and I need to hold them until I'm really starting to get closer to the exit. So yeah, bringing the car to the middle of the track pretty much, and then as soon as the I'm getting close to the you can see the gap between the white wall and the Armco barrier. I think it's called like this. The gap you have between the two is pretty much where what I'm looking at when I go on the brake. So if I'm going from the outside, might be a bit easier to show. You have the wall just right there, and then you have the fence, the not the fence, the white wall. So yeah, this is pretty much what I'm looking at. Of course, from there it looks a bit different from the inside, but yeah, that's pretty much when I'm close. Wait, you cannot see because okay, it's on the other screen. But yeah, when I'm getting close to this, when the Amco is over, then I just release the power. I go on the brake, and as you can see, once again, I'm just going easy on the brakes. I'm not trying to brake too much. And once I'm getting near the end of that corner, then I can just go back on power, not trying to go too much, because the idea there is to make sure I'm not bringing the car too wide right there, because then you have the left kink, and then you have the very slow chicane, which is massively important if you don't want to lose too much time. So yeah, just going easy on power, trying to go hard enough to get the rotation, but at the same time not too hard to not having to open the steering and end up being really close from that wall. So going it back from the outside, as you can see, just trying to go a tiny bit wider on the brakes, trying to slow down a bit the car, back on power to get the rotation, trying to make sure I keep a margin from the left. That's what we've done. And then I will try to put the car into the kink, and as soon as I'm in the middle of the kink, I'll call this a kink, but yeah, I don't really know how we are supposed to call it. once we are in the middle of that one, I just brake, just trying to slow down the car, not trying to brake too much, obviously, because you keep turning to the left all the way. So obviously, if you are braking too hard, you will just go straight and you are going to miss the apex just right here, which is massively important, because if you don't cut enough there, you won't have the wait, you won't put the car in the best position possible to cut that curb on the second part of the chicane. But let's do it in order. Now we are on the brakes. As soon as you are reaching the end of the wall, you keep you turn more to the left, trying to cut as much as you can. So as you can see, I could have cut more, which means like I would have got a better exit. I could have put the car a bit more straight, and it would have been better over the curb. I think just like that, it was okay. The car did really well. So yeah, it was not too bad. The idea, the thing to avoid basically when you are going into this chicane is to make sure that the right wheels are not smashing the curb back right there. That's what you are aiming for. It was okay because I really smashed it at the very end of the curbing, so it didn't make the car bounce too much. But the idea here is like really to cut this as much as you can, so then you can put the left wheels on the left side of the curb and the right wheels will go on the right side of the curb. So that's pretty much what you should aim for. This time it worked out well, but ideally, in the best world possible, you need to try to put the left wheels left side of the curb and the right wheels right side of the curb at the end. But yeah, it's always a bit sketchy because obviously you need to apply the right amount of braking. It's really slow. It's full of blind corners, blind exit, blind entries, because from there, when you are inside the car, you don't know what comes after. Basically, you only figure it out when you are cutting there. And well, in when I'm driving, I don't see the steering and the end. But yeah, basically from there, once you are into the corner, you just see the board, but that's pretty much it. You don't really know where is the curb and stuff. So you just drive fully blind and you have to guess. So that's why this corner is massively difficult. So that's the few things I can give you, is really to make sure you can cut as much as you can this one, and then it's just about doing laps. Checking the border also is a good way, because this is something you can really see. You can see the curb a little bit, but it's so almost invisible that the best way is to look at the border, and then you know that you cannot cut the bollard, so you have to put the car a bit more to the left. But you know that you need to keep a bit of a margin from the bollard. So that's pretty much the only thing I can really give you in terms of visual references, because even myself, like when I'm doing this corner, of course, then it's sort of muscle memories, so it really helps you to go through the chicane. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, there is no massive references anyone will be able to give. So yeah, once again, once you're into this left, out of this one, you just go slowly on the brakes, down to second. Most important is to try to cut as much as you can right there. So I don't think the speed was a thing there. It was more about turning in earlier, but it was good enough, as I said. And then as soon as you are going on top of the crest, then you just try to steer to the right, cutting as much as you can, trying to make sure you can put the right wheels on the right side of the ending of the curb. And then once you are out of this, you can just increase the power. Just try to bring the car to the right. And pretty much when I'm close to this painted curbing, even if it's not a curb once again, but the orange and white thing, then I will just go on the brake, as you can see, down to second. Most important thing there is not to carry too much speed. Because it's really easy to pick up some understeer and end up going a bit wide. So there you don't want to carry too much speed, especially you don't want to brake too late as well. And yeah, oh, that's a mistake. Never mind. But yeah, it's really to make sure you're not going too fast going into this corner, because then you are looking for trouble. So yeah, just brake before this orange and white paint curb, and then you just go easy on the brakes. Second gear, you can take a tiny bit of curbing, but I wouldn't take too much because it makes the car bounce a bit, and then it puts you it yeah it puts you in a not in the best position when you go back on power. You can see taking a bit of curb, it doesn't make the car move too much, and then on the outside, get close to the wall. That's close enough, I guess. But yeah, now we have the very long straight, so we're gonna go fast forward. So we're gonna go up the gears, up to fifth gear, up to sixth gear, and now we're gonna brake a tiny bit before the end of the Miami signs blue thing on the wall. So just before this ends, we're just gonna go on the brake. So as you can see, it's about yeah. If you had a 200 board, is there a 200? Yeah, there is a 200. So yeah, we would be at the 180 pretty much again. I believe. So yeah, pretty much the same braking distance as the one we had before the slow sector, you know, the long straight. So this is pretty much the same. 150 hard on the brakes, at least braking hard enough to not get into the ABS, braking straight, close to the wall, and then down the gears, down to second now. And yeah, as soon as we are getting close to the corner and close to the end of the curb, we're gonna steer to the left, releasing the brakes, trying to make sure we are going close to the curb. I think it could have been a bit closer, but yeah, it was okay, I would say, but could have been closer still. And yeah, on the exit, you just try to make sure you're not putting the power too early because you don't want to end up with having too bad of an oversteer. You just wait the car to rotate a bit with the brakes, and as soon as you are facing the exit, then you can just go full power, quickly open the steering, try to make sure you are close to the wall on the right without hitting the wall. That sounds really obvious. I don't think you needed myself to tell you that. And yeah, just try to get close to the wall. Not hitting the curb is a good point there as well because it's just useless. Simple as that. And for the end, you can maximize, but yeah, maximizing sometimes leads to useless mistakes. But yeah, you can just use, you know, the track limits now. It's the outside wheels. You can put the left side wheels on the curbing right there, but that's about it. Be careful because it bounces a tiny bit, so it can be a bit surprising at first. But yeah, it makes small bounces. It's not too bad, but yeah, better letting you know that it bounce a bit when you are going on it. And yeah, if we are doing it from the inside of the car to do the last few meters of the track, that's how it looks. Avoiding the curb there, and then using all of the curbing with the left wheels, and just after that right-hander, we are crossing the line just right now, and it was the guide around Miami. Alright everyone, so we're done for today. That was the week 7 lap guide of the Sports Car Challenge by Fat Cantair, together with the Porsche 708 GT4 and the new Miami circuit. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Coach Dev Academy channel and join the Discord server if you have any questions about all the work we are providing each week. And yeah, wish you good luck and a good week of racing for Miami, and I see you next week for the week 8. See you next time, bye bye.